Have you ever found yourself in that really familiar place? The clock hits 5, maybe 6, you've been running nonstop all day,
hmm
jumping from email to meeting to some urgent request that popped up. But then as you finally lean back, you get this kind of unsettling thought, what did I actually accomplish today?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That feeling of being what they call time poor,
Yeah.
while somehow also feeling unproductive. It's practically an epidemic in our modern world, isn't it?
It's a total paradox. I mean, we track our money down to the penny, we track our steps, our workouts, even our screen time on our phone.
Right, all these metrics.
Exactly. But the one truly non-renewable resource we have, time itself, it just seems to, flow through our days, often unmeasured, unexamined, and ultimately unmanaged.
It's more than just, an oversight. I think it's a deeply ingrained blind spot for so many of us.
Hmm.
We inherently get that time is valuable, kind of intuitively. But our actions, or maybe our lack of intentional action, often show this real disconnect from managing it consciously. And this isn't just about being busy. It's about a critical difference Peter Drucker pointed out decades ago, one that's still, frankly, startlingly relevant today.
Or is that?
It's the difference between efficiency and effectiveness. Efficiency, as he taught us, is all about doing things right, optimizing processes, going faster,
Making the hamster wheel spin quicker.
pretty much, yeah. But true effectiveness, which he saw as the hallmark of, an impactful leader or executive, that's about doing the right things in the first place. Big difference.
And that, right there, that is the perfect way to introduce our guide for this deep dive. Peter Drucker, often called the father of modern management.
That he is.
And we're kicking off a multi-part series looking at his really foundational work, The Effective Executive. Now, this book, it was written way back in 1967.
A different era, for sure.
Totally. But it's not just some historical artifact collecting dust. It's packed with timeless wisdom, especially for anyone trying to genuinely get things done, and maybe more importantly, ensuring those things are the right things.
Drucker's real genius, I think, lies in how he could take these complex challenges, whether organizational or personal, and just distill them into clear, actionable practices. And for him, the very first, the most critical practice of effectiveness he flags, it's mastering your time.
Right at the start.
Absolutely. He understood way ahead of his time, really, that before you can even think about what the right things are, before you set priorities or lead teams or anything else, you first have to get an unflinching, objective handle on where your time actually goes.
Not where you wish it went.
Exactly. Without that foundational awareness, everything else you try to build, it's basically built on sand. It just won't hold up.
So that really sets our mission for today, doesn't it? We're
Yeah.
going to do a deep dive into Drucker's, it's a profoundly counterintuitive argument that effective executives must start by truly understanding their time. We'll unpack his practical, sometimes, let's be honest, uncomfortable advice for diagnosing where your time is really spent, for ruthlessly cutting out those unproductive tasks, what he famously called time wasters,
Yes, the time wasters.
and crucially, how to consolidate your precious discretionary time into large, uninterrupted blocks. This isn't just about, productivity hacks or quick tips.
So it's much deeper than that.
It's a foundational lesson in managing the one resource you can never, ever create more of. So yeah, let's dig in. Okay, so let's unpack this first big principle, know thy time. Drucker starts with something that honestly, on the surface, feels almost too simple,
Right?
but it holds this really profound and often, frankly, uncomfortable truth. Most of us have basically no real idea where our time actually goes day to day.
It's true. We feel incredibly busy, right?
Yeah.
We think we're in control, managing our schedule.
Totally. Like we're steering the ship.
Yeah, but if we were forced to actually observe and record our days meticulously, the reality would probably look vastly different from our perception. It's a huge blind spot.
What's so fascinating about that isn't just that the blind spot exists, but why it seems so universal. Why are we all kind of fooling ourselves?
Well, I think we operate under this illusion of control, this assumption that because we're constantly moving, constantly reacting, our time must be accounted for, and therefore it must be well spent. It's a bit of a leap in logic. But Drucker pointed out something really insightful. He said, amazingly, few people know how they get things done. Indeed, most of us do not even know that different people work and perform differently.
Huh. So it's not just about what we do, but how we do it.
Exactly. And this isn't him judging anyone's work ethic or anything like that. It's about a fundamental lack of self-awareness regarding our actual working patterns, our, cognitive rhythms, where our energy flows, and where our cyanide hours genuinely disappear. Maybe the truth is just too confronting, so we kind of avoid looking in that mirror.
And you could argue it's even worse now, couldn't you? In today's world, always on, hyper-connected.
Oh, absolutely.
This fragmentation issue feels way more rampant than even in Drucker's time. We're not just fighting off the odd distraction. We're constantly bombarded. A relentless stream of interruptions.
It's a fire hose.
Yeah. The ping of a new email, the little flash of a Slack notification, the quick question from a colleague that's never quick.
Never quick.
The sudden mental gear shift from one complex task to something completely unrelated. It almost feels like our modern work environments are actively designed to prevent sustained, deep focus.
You know, if you connect this to some more recent thinking, you look at authors like Cal Newport, writing about deep work. He highlights how even in jobs you'd think have less structured time, like university professors.
Right. You imagine them having lots of thinking time.
Exactly. But he shows how even their days get heavily fragmented. Newport observes the typical knowledge workday is more easily fragmented than many suspect. He points out how even those seemingly flexible roles get sliced up by meetings, classes, admin tasks, emails. It dramatically cuts down the potential for that deep, concentrated work.
So it's not just the obvious interruptions.
No, it's the constant shifting, what he calls task switching, combined with these high connectivity levels, all the tools demanding our attention. They're the main culprits in this fragmentation of attention. And it's not just losing a minute here or there, it's the deep cognitive cost, the energy it takes to repeatedly re-engage with complex tasks after each break.
That's the really insidious part, isn't it? You can almost picture it, a typical morning. You sit down, you're determined, okay, I'm tackling this big project.
Right, full of good intentions.
Then you check a few emails just quickly. Then a colleague pops over, got a sec, quick question. A notification pings on your phone, some team chat. You jump on a brief, unscheduled call, and boom, an hour's gone.
Poof, vanished.
And you've got very little to show for it. Certainly not progress on the big thing. Drucker would call those small driblets. They feel tiny in the moment, like individual drops.
Insignificant.
But they add up to, as he put it, no time at all for anything meaningful. And the killer is, each of those small driblets isn't just a lost minute. It comes with that mental overhead, that our entry cost, as our brain struggles to get back into the groove.
Exactly. The concentration is shattered. That's why his call to know thy time isn't just, quaint advice. It's a fundamental, absolutely critical starting point.
Okay, so if we're mostly blind to where our time really goes, how do we even start to uncover this hidden truth? Drucker's answer is, well, it's almost disarmingly simple, isn't it? But it's so effective. It echoes that old business saying.
What gets measured gets managed.
Exactly. To actually manage your time, you first have to precisely and often, uncomfortably measure where it's going.
This brings us to the actual practice of the time log. It's basically the systematic, almost like a forensic record of your activities throughout the day. And the crucial first step, the really important part initially, isn't about judging yourself for feeling guilty.
No self-flagellation needed.
Not yet, anyway. It's about pure, objective data collection. Think of it like taking a before picture, just an unvarnished snapshot of your current reality. You need to document what you're doing, when you start, when you stop, even those tiny little interruptions.
The quick questions.
The quick questions, the coffee breaks, the scrolling through news feeds, everything. You need that raw data to get an objective understanding of your day. It often feels awkward or tedious to collect it.
I can imagine. Seems like a hassle.
It can be, but it's absolutely essential for any meaningful change. It strips away all our convenient stories we tell ourselves and just presents the undeniable facts.
And practically speaking, how do you actually do this? It doesn't have to be super complicated, right? We're not talking about fancy software necessarily.
Not at all. It can be as straightforward as carrying a small notebook and pen, or, opening a basic spreadsheet on your computer, or using a really simple app on your phone. There are plenty of tools if you like that route.
But the key is...
The absolute key is noting things down as they happen. In real time, or as close to real time as possible. Don't fall into that trap of thinking, oh, I'll just reconstruct my day at 5 p.m.
Because you'll forget half of it.
You'll forget, or worse, your memory, which is, let's face it, a pretty unreliable narrator, will smooth over the edges. It'll rationalize away the distractions. Those small driblets of wasted time, they just vanish from your recollection. You need to be ruthless in your honesty with that log right in the moment.
That makes sense, capturing it live.
Yeah. And there's a really powerful example of this kind of rigorous measurement in action. It comes from someone who needed to protect their really high-value creative work time amidst more and more demands on them.
Okay.
So they kept a spreadsheet with one key metric, the number of creative hours logged each day. And they had this self-imposed rule, stay above 1,000 creative hours a year.
Wow, that's specific. Very specific. And this discipline tracking wasn't just about ticking a box or accountability. It literally became their compass. It helped them consciously prioritize and, as the source said, stay on the creative march, doing research, developing concepts, and writing, despite ever-increasing demands for travel, team leadership, and working with executives.
So it wasn't about tracking every single minute, but tracking the most important minutes.
Exactly. It's about identifying your truly core contributions, the stuff only you can do, or the stuff that delivers the most value, and then actively protecting and logging the time you dedicate specifically to that.
That's a fantastic real-world application. It really makes you stop and think, doesn't it?
Sure.
What would your equivalent key metric be? For anyone listening, beyond just being busy, what's the one critical activity you need to protect and log for yourself?
Great question.
And then, the moment of truth. When you actually review that time log after a few days or a week, what's the typical reaction? You mentioned it's uncomfortable. Yeah, it's often genuine shock, even disbelief sometimes. We discover how much time is truly frittered away on low-value activities, on endless admin, on things that maybe someone else could do, or perhaps most painfully, on those constant interruptions that prevent anything of real substance from ever getting done.
It's like turning on the bright lights in a room you thought was tidy.
Exactly. Suddenly you see all the dust and clutter. The time log acts as that unflinching mirror. It vividly exposes that fragmentation of attention we talked about earlier, especially the stuff caused by being constantly connected, the pull of all those digital tools, the endless task switching.
The data doesn't lie.
The data doesn't lie,
Yeah.
and it doesn't allow for our usual rationalizations. It just lays bare these insidious time drains that we often minimize or just don't even perceive in the heat of the moment. It's that uncomfortable truth, those cold, hard facts that provide the necessary jolt, the undeniable evidence to actually motivate change. Without that initial, sometimes painful diagnosis, any attempt to improve is just flying blind. #tag eliminating time wasters.
Okay, so you've done the hard work. You've faced the often uncomfortable truth revealed by your time log. You know where your time is actually going. What's the crucial next step?
Right. Now you transition from diagnosis to decisive action. And this is where Drucker advises, well, basically a surgical approach. Identify and then, pretty much without mercy, ruthlessly eliminate the time wasters.
Not just tweak them.
No, this isn't about optimizing bad habits or finding a slightly more efficient way to do something unproductive. It's about cutting them out entirely, pruning them away.
That sounds tough.
It is tough. Drucker's philosophy here is quite stark, quite uncompromising. It demands a level of courage, actually, and a very clear, almost, ruthless understanding of your true priorities.
Yeah.
It's recognizing that some activities simply shouldn't be done at all, or at least they shouldn't be done by you.
Which means saying no more often.
Definitely saying no more often.
Yeah.
It requires a willingness to challenge norms, maybe even push back on expectations, and sometimes, disappoint other people for the sake of your own effectiveness and focusing on what really matters.
And when Drucker looked at major time wasters, he pinpointed one huge culprit that I think everyone listening will relate to, maybe even more so today than back then.
Let me guess.
Meetings.
Bingo. He called it malorganization. Its symptom is an excess of meetings. I mean, who hasn't looked at their calendar some days and just groaned internally?
Oh, yeah. Back-to-back blocks of gray.
Another packed day, another endless string of meetings that just drain your energy, kill any momentum you had, and often yield precious little in terms of real outcomes.
Drucker had a very strong, almost provocative take on this. He famously stated, "One either meets or one works. One cannot do both at the same time."
Wow. That's pretty blunt.
It is. He even went so far as to say that in an ideally designed structure, which he admitted was just a dream in a changing world, there would be no meetings.
So he was anti-meeting. Not exactly anti-meeting, but incredibly pro-purposeful meeting. He argued meetings exist for very specific reasons. Because people holding different jobs have to cooperate to get a specific task done. Or because the knowledge and experience needed has to be pieced together from several people.
Okay, so collaboration or information synthesis.
Precisely. They should be a precise tool for generating synergy, for making decisions that need multiple inputs, not the default way we operate, and certainly not just a convenient way to avoid doing focused individual work.
And the damage from bad meetings, it goes way beyond just the wasted hours, doesn't it? It can kind of poison the well.
It really can contaminate the whole work environment.
Hmm.
There's research, like in Blue Ocean Leadership, that pointed out when leaders spend way too much time in meetings, especially with senior management, their teams often draw a pretty bleak conclusion. They start to think their leaders are more interested in maximizing political face time and spinning news than in being present to support them.
Ouch, that hurts morale.
Exactly. So ineffective meetings don't just drain minutes from the clock. They erode trust, they crush morale, and they can fundamentally undermine a leader's credibility. It's a huge systemic cost, not just an individual one.
This raises a really important and maybe awkward question. How do you spot the time wasters that you might be creating for other people, the ones you don't even see?
Yeah, the blind spots again. Drucker's approach here is, I think, profoundly humble, but also remarkably effective and brave. He suggests actually asking your colleagues systematically, and he says, without coyness.
No beating around the bush.
Right. Ask them straight up. What do I do that wastes your time without contributing to your effectiveness?
Whoa, that takes guts.
It really does. But I find that question incredibly powerful. It flips the script, doesn't it? Instead of waiting for people to complain, maybe behind your back, you proactively invite honest feedback.
It's a mark of confidence in a way.
Drucker saw it as a mark of an effective executive, to ask that without being afraid of the truth. It's a key to unlocking that often invisible interpersonal time waste we unknowingly inflict on others around us.
You know, it aligns so well with some modern leadership ideas, like in Radical Candor, where they talk about soliciting feedback on yourself first in reviews.
Make it a two-way street.
Exactly. It makes it feel like a two-way conversation and less like an arrogant one-way judgment. It creates that psychological safety needed for real honesty and mutual improvement, rather than letting resentment just build up silently.
Absolutely. And this whole idea of elimination, it goes beyond just meetings or asking others. Drucker's take on delegation is also really interesting here because it challenges how we usually think about it.
Also,
He suggests that delegation, as the term is customarily used, is a misunderstanding. He felt the real win wasn't just passing tasks down. Instead, he focused on getting rid of anything that can be done by somebody else so that one does not have to delegate but can really get to one's own work. That is a major improvement in effectiveness.
so it's not just about offloading work you don't like.
No, it's a deeper, more strategic mindset. It's about constantly asking, does this task need to be done by me? Can it be eliminated entirely through a better system? Can it be automated? Or can it be truly given to someone else for whom it's actually a core part of their role or development? It's strategic divestment, really, aimed at freeing you up for your highest impact work.
That's a profound shift. It's not just handing things off, it's strategic pruning.
Yeah.
You see this kind of, well, almost brutal efficiency in some modern figures like Elon Musk.
Right, he's known for it.
He famously has apparently no tolerance for traveling for what ended up as a 2-minute meeting. That's a crystal clear example of just cutting out low-value time commitments, no apologies.
And he has that saying.
Oh yeah, the one about firing people. The longer you wait to fire someone, the longer it has been since you should have fired them. It's harsh, maybe, but you can reinterpret that.
Apply it to tasks.
Exactly. Apply it to unproductive tasks or broken processes. If a task is clearly a time waster, if it's contributing nothing of real value, why are you keeping it around? Why let it keep dragging you down? It's about a complete fundamental rethink of what actually deserves a place in your day.
Okay, so we've tracked our time, we've faced the music, we've hopefully done some ruthless cutting of the waste. What's the crucial next piece of the puzzle?
Right. After clearing the decks, the next vital step, according to Drucker, is to consolidate the valuable time that remains. He observed that the secret of people who do so many difficult things is that they do only one thing at a time.
Focus.
Intense focus. They refuse to let themselves be squandered away in small driblets that are no time at all. That principle of focused, concentrated work isn't just nice to have. He saw it as absolutely paramount to being effective.
And this really hits home when you think about the cognitive cost of constantly switching gears, right? That multitasking myth. Oh, it's devastating. It ties directly back to Cal Newport's fragmentation of attention. When your focus is constantly being pulled, a notification pops up, you glance at an email, someone asks a quick question, Your brain is burning energy, just switching contexts, not actually doing the deep work.
Like trying to start a heavy flywheel over and over.
That's a great analogy. Each time you start, you need that big push. Small, constant interruptions are like someone constantly tapping the brake. The flywheel never builds up that sustained speed and momentum needed for truly impactful, deep work. You're never fully present for any single task.
Yeah, and the quality suffers.
Dramatically, the quality, the depth, the insight, it all suffers.
So, to fight back against this fragmentation, Drucker identified, what, 3 main ways effective people structure their consolidated time?
Yeah, 3 primary types of consolidated time blocks that he saw effective executives consciously building into their schedules. First up, unbroken blocks for individual think time.
The deep work blocks.
Exactly. And this isn't just finding a spare hour here or there. It means deliberately carving out dedicated periods for deep, focused concentration. Ideally, he said, preferably during the most lucid time of day, whenever that is for you personally.
Morning lark or night owl.
Right. And he noted that even 90 minutes of truly uninterrupted focus, if done with regularity, can be absolutely transformative. That's where you can actually get into that flow state.
And this is where the real heavy lifting happens.
This is where true creative work happens, where complex problem solving takes place, where strategic thinking can actually take root and flourish. It's exactly this kind of protected time that the person we mentioned earlier used, tracking their creative hours for doing research, developing concepts, and writing.
Right, the 1,000 hours goal.
Without these deliberately protected blocks, that kind of high-value, mentally demanding work, it just gets pushed aside or it gets fractured into tiny, ineffective segments or maybe shoved into the evenings when your brain is already fried. This is the time you allocate for true intellectual effort.
And it's not just for generating brand new ideas, is it? Even just thinking things through properly takes time.
Absolutely. Even the process of articulating your thoughts, refining them, requires this kind of space. As Radical Candor points out, writing is painstaking and time-consuming. When I start to write it down, I realize that the situation is much more nuanced upon reflection.
Ah, yeah, the act of writing forces clarity.
Exactly, that kind of nuanced thinking, the deep reflection that sharpens your understanding, clarifies your arguments, solidifies your strategy. It absolutely demands dedicated, unbroken time. You just can't achieve that depth when you're constantly hopping between tasks.
Okay, so dedicated think time is number 1. What's the second type of block? This one sounded a bit strange.
Yeah, this one is maybe the most counterintuitive. Chunks of deliberately unstructured time.
Scheduled time to be unscheduled.
Sounds like a paradox, right?
Yeah.
But it's not about booking time for procrastination. It's about strategically scheduling time specifically for handling people and the inevitable stuff that comes up.
Ah, okay. So it's like building in buffer zones.
Precisely. By creating these flexible buffers, you actually build a really effective shield around your critical think time. You're not constantly being caught off guard by unpredictable interruptions demanding immediate attention. Instead, you have dedicated periods where you expect and allow for those spontaneous chats, dealing with urgent but maybe not important issues, or just being available for your team without feeling like your main work is being derailed.
So it manages the chaos instead of letting the chaos manage you.
That's a great way to put it. It's a proactive strategy to build resilience into your schedule.
Okay, think time, buffer time. What's the third leg of the stool?
The third type is meetings that matter. We talked about eliminating wasteful meetings, but Drucker wasn't against meetings entirely. He rigorously advocated for carefully constructed standing meetings that can be the heartbeat of dialogue, debate, and decision.
So the right kind of meetings.
Exactly. These aren't those energy-sucking time wasters we wanted to eliminate. These are designed as productivity engines. They have a clear purpose, they're well-run, and they lead to actual outcomes.
Andrew Grove had strong views on this too, didn't he? And high output management.
Oh yeah, very strong views. He insisted that anyone chairing a meeting must have a crystal clear objective, and they should ask themselves 3 crucial questions before even sending the invite. What am I trying to accomplish? Then ask, is a meeting necessary, or desirable, or justifiable?
And if the answer isn't yes to all 3,
don't call a meeting. Simple as that. This kind of rigor ensures meetings aren't just gatherings, but truly productive sessions that fuel the dialogue, debate, and decision Drucker valued. And, crucially, Drucker also added that you need to use some of your think time to prepare and follow up for these important meetings. Make the investment worthwhile.
Right. Prep and follow through are key. So this whole approach of consolidating time, it really forces you to prioritize, doesn't it? You can't block out time for everything.
Absolutely. And Drucker's advice on prioritization is, again, crystal clear and pretty uncompromising. He said, effective executives do not splinter themselves. They concentrate on one task, if at all possible.
Just one?
Ideally, yes. He did offer a small concession, saying if they are among those people who work best with a change of pace in their working day, they pick 2 tasks. But that's the absolute limit. 1, maybe 2. It's about profound, unwavering focus.
That's intense discipline, more than just making a long to-do list.
Oh, much more. A to-do list can easily become just a list of good intentions, right? A wish list. The real discipline Drucker talks about lies in setting those 1 or 2 priorities and, critically, sticking to them with almost stubborn resolve.
Until they're done.
Well, here's another key nuance. He advises that after completing the original top priority task, the executive resets priorities rather than moving on to number 2 from the original list.
So you don't just work down the list you made yesterday.
Exactly. It's not about rigidly sticking to a static plan made days ago. It's about a fluid, dynamic reevaluation based on the current reality. You constantly ask, what is the most important thing now? And focus on that, rather than blindly following an outdated list. It's continuous strategic decision-making about your time.
You can see this kind of ruthless prioritization in action historically, can't you? I think you mentioned Truman earlier.
Yeah, the Truman example is powerful.
Yeah.
When he suddenly became president during World War II, his first instinct was maybe to focus on domestic stuff, continuing Roosevelt's New Deal.
It makes sense. Carry on the agenda.
But as soon as he asked himself Drucker's question, what needed to be done? Right now, he realized foreign affairs, ending the war, managing the post-war world had absolute, undeniable priority over everything else.
So he shifted completely.
Completely. He totally organized his working day so that it began with tutorials on foreign policy by the Secretaries of State and Defense. That's a massive, tangible example of reorienting your entire schedule, your entire focus onto the single highest priority. A total restructuring of his time based purely on impact.
Wow. That's commitment.
And this intense focus on the top priority, it also resonates strongly with ideas from other fields, like the extreme ownership principle of keeping a mission simple.
How does that connect?
Well, when you concentrate fiercely on just 1 or 2 absolutely critical tasks, you dramatically reduce the complexity. You minimize the surface area for things to go wrong or for unforeseen problems to derail you. You simplify your own decision-making, and you can pour maximum mental energy and resources into achieving those key objectives. It leads to much greater clarity, resilience, and ultimately success, rather than spreading yourself thin across a dozen mediocre efforts. Hashtag tag the human element and personal effectiveness.
Okay, let's bring this all together now, because we've talked a lot about systems, logs, blocks of time. But effectiveness isn't just about mechanical scheduling, is it? It's deeply personal.
Absolutely not. And Drucker himself really emphasized this. He noted that how one performs is unique. It is a matter of personality. That's a key insight, actually. It means that while these principles, diagnosis, elimination, consolidation, are pretty universal.
The framework is universal.
Right. The framework is universal, but how you specifically apply them needs to be deeply personal. It has to be attuned to your own unique operating system, your own rhythms and style.
So trying to force yourself into a system that doesn't fit your personality is probably counterproductive.
Definitely. Truly effective executives, Drucker observed, achieve results by working in ways that they best perform. So genuinely applying these principles means first understanding yourself. Are you a morning person, a night owl? When are your most lucid hours for that deep cognitive work? What kind of environment helps you focus? Total silence, background buzz? What are your real strengths, your weaknesses?
So it's not one size fits all.
Not at all. It's a flexible framework that you absolutely must adapt and mold to your unique performance style. Ignoring that crucial self-knowledge is basically trying to swim upstream. You're working against yourself.
But it's also crucial to remember, effectiveness isn't only about your individual schedule or your personal productivity bubble, right? There's the people element.
Hugely important. Stephen Covey in The 7 Habits really highlighted this crucial nuance. He said, a principle-centered person thinks in terms of effectiveness in dealing with people. Meaning that while you can often manage tasks or schedules for sheer efficiency, dealing with human beings requires effectiveness. People need empathy, understanding, relationship building, investment. You can't just process them efficiently like widgets.
That's a really profound distinction. It's easy to forget in the rush for productivity.
It is. And sometimes pursuing what Covey called quadrant 2 living, focusing on those important but not necessarily urgent activities like relationship building or mentoring sometimes, that requires the subordination of schedules to people.
So being flexible enough to prioritize a person over a pre-planned task sometimes.
Exactly. Being truly present for those important human interactions, for mentoring your team, for building trust, for having those crucial, maybe spontaneous conversations, even if it means deviating slightly from your perfectly blocked out schedule. Investing in people, as the new one-minute manager puts it, isn't a time waster. It makes profound good sense because ultimately, it's the people who get the results.
Neglecting that human element, it probably undermines everything else in the long run.
Completely. It creates a brittle, disengaged environment. That investment in people is the long-term fuel for future success and collaboration.
This also seems to demand a really proactive stance, doesn't it? Taking ownership not just of your schedule, but your whole approach.
Yes, almost an entrepreneurial ownership of your time and your career path. There's a great point in Managing Your Boss that highlights this. Most really effective managers accept this fact and assume primary responsibility for their own careers and development.
They don't wait to be told what to do.
Exactly. They make a point of seeking the information and help they need to do a job instead of waiting for their bosses to provide it. This kind of self-leadership, this proactive posture, is absolutely key to controlling your own time, shaping your environment, and advocating for the resources and conditions you need to be truly effective. It's about being the active designer of your workday, not just a passive recipient of whatever comes your way.
And this proactive approach, it naturally leads to building systems for yourself, right? Not just relying on willpower.
Precisely. It connects powerfully to building personal systems that support your effectiveness. It echoes that idea from the E-Myth Revisited, which argues that it is the system, not only the people, that will differentiate your business from everyone else's. The same applies personally. Building personal systems, even simple, elegant ones, is vital.
Like habits or routines.
Exactly. Repeatable processes, habits, structures that automatically support your effectiveness. They make the right choices easier and the wrong choices harder, rather than forcing you to rely solely on willpower, which, let's face it, is a finite resource that runs out during the day. A well-designed system works even when you're tired or distracted.
Can you give an example of a good personal system for time management?
Well, Covey's advice on scheduling your priorities rather than just prioritizing what's already landed on your schedule is a brilliant example. He advocated doing this through weekly planning.
Looking at the whole week ahead.
Yes. Focusing deliberately on those quadrant 2 activities, the important but not urgent things like long-term planning, relationship building, learning, professional development, even exercise and self-care. He argued this weekly view provides greater balance and context than daily planning. It's a proactive system designed to ensure you allocate time to what truly matters, to those foundational activities, before the urgent but often less important stuff inevitably tries to crowd everything else out.
So it's about designing your life, your week, proactively, not just reacting to incoming requests.
That's the essence of it. Designing your time, not just letting it happen to you.
Yeah.
Outro.
Okay, so let's quickly recap this foundational path to mastering your time that Peter Drucker laid out, and which, as we've seen, is powerfully echoed by other great thinkers too. It really boils down to 4 core practices for cultivating true effectiveness. First, you absolutely have to diagnose. That means meticulously tracking where your time actually goes, facing that often uncomfortable, maybe even shocking truth that your time log reveals, no sugarcoating.
Step 1, face reality.
Step 2, eliminate. This is about ruthlessly cutting unproductive tasks, challenging unnecessary meetings, and critically, having the courage to proactively ask others how you might be accidentally wasting their valuable time.
Cut the waste, both yours and theirs.
Third, consolidate. This is all about consciously creating those large, unbroken blocks for deep, focused work, intelligently planning for deliberately unstructured time to handle the inevitable chaos, and rigorously ensuring your meetings are genuinely effective, purposeful, and lead to decisions.
Make the time you have count. Big blocks.
And finally, number 4, personalize. You need to adapt these powerful strategies to your own unique performance style, your natural rhythms, your individual strengths, and always consider that crucial people dimension in every interaction and every decision about how you allocate your time.
You know yourself and connect with others. It's not just mechanics.
Absolutely. And this deep dive, it really isn't just about offering, a few productivity hacks or tricks.
No, it's much more fundamental.
It's about cultivating profound clarity and real intentionality in how you approach your most valuable, non-renewable asset, your time. For you, the learner listening right now, it provides, hopefully, a shortcut to being truly well-informed, not just by consuming information, but by being deliberate about what occupies your time and attention in the first place.
Yeah, it's about gaining knowledge effectively, quickly, but also thoroughly without just feeling buried under an avalanche of information.
Mm.
It empowers you to actively carve out and fiercely protect the time needed for what truly matters to your learning, your growth, and ultimately your impact.
Exactly. It's that shift from being reactive to being proactive,
Wow.
from feeling like, a pinball bouncing around to actually being the pilot of your own day, your own week.
Yeah.
So as you reflect on everything we've chewed over today, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought, something to maybe mull over this week.
Okay.
If time is the one and only resource you can never, ever get back, what single intentional change will you commit to making in the next 7 days to ensure you're truly investing it rather than just passively spending it?
And maybe adding to that, how will you proactively design your time this coming week, making conscious choices about where it goes, rather than simply letting it happen to you, just getting carried along by the relentless currents of urgency and distraction?